Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zainab. Welcome to Muslimah Media Channel. So today's story is about Ma'bad and what a fascinating person she was. So Ma'bad's name was actually Atika bint Khalid al-Khuza'iyya, known as Ma'bad, and she is important for many reasons, but she's a first because she's actually the very first person to narrate a comprehensive and detailed description of the Prophet ﷺ in hadith form. Ma'bad also shows up in the history books, interestingly enough, because she's part of the Hijrah. So I'm going to tell you why in just a second. But let's think about the way Mecca at the time of the Prophet ﷺ is. So you basically have an urban environment, and that's the city of Mecca where the Prophet ﷺ lives, right, with his family. It's the city he's going to depart for Medina in the Hijrah. And then you have the outskirts, you have the rural area. You have the desert outside of Mecca, and you have the people, the city dwellers, and then you have the Bedouins. Ma'bad is kind of like representative. She's like almost an sort of archetype when it comes to the Bedouin woman. So she's strong, and she has really sort of very she's very, what's the word, fasaha, right? So she has this fasaha, which is defined as being very eloquent, and has the ability to really sort of use the most beautiful descriptors in the Arabic language to get to the heart of the matter. And as you recall, the Bedouin are known for their speech. That's why the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, as a young child is sent from Mecca to live with Halima as-Sa'diyya in the desert, because the idea is that he would have a strong sort of moral upbringing, and he would learn the most afsah, the most eloquent speech of the Arabs in that particular environment. So Ma'bad represents that. So she's a very kind of interesting character. She's set up in a tent on the outskirts of Mecca, and she's one of these people that her livelihood is that when people are traveling, say they're going on these caravans, they're passing through between Mecca to the oases of Medina, she's the person who set up almost like as sort of like kind of like a rest stop in a sense. So she's got the sheep, and she has meat, and she has dates, and she has these things that she'll actually sort of sell or sometimes give, right, and then to travelers. And this is a way of kind of earning a livelihood for her. So she's like sitting there in her tent, and then out of nowhere, this handsome man, so noble in bearing, approaches her. And he's got another very dignified looking man with him. And they do seem, though, like as if they're sort of pressed upon. Like she can tell that they've been traveling and they're undergoing some kind of difficult circumstances, but she says he's so radiant. He's not like any of the other travelers she's ever encountered. Like he's not disheveled and he's not dusty, but she says he's just radiantly handsome. And she describes his beautiful luminous eyes and his wonderful speech. And she says how the people in his company, they really defer to him, they respect him, they love him. And it is these words that become the basis for these vivid descriptions of the Prophet ﷺ that are passed down in the historical literature. So for example, when you take that class on Shama'il Muhammadiyya, the characteristics of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, when you hang on a wall in your house the hilya, that beautiful description of the Prophet that says how handsome he was, and that he wasn't too tall, he wasn't too short, that he was somebody whose bearing was erect, and he was dignified, and he was noble. These things actually come down from recollections of people like Ma'bad, and it is actually her recollection of the Prophet that becomes like memorialized, right, in history. So, and the thing that's so intriguing about this woman is that this is the first time she's ever met the Prophet ﷺ. She doesn't see him ever again, actually, but just this one chance encounter, or not really chance because everything is by Allah's qadr, but just this one encounter with the Prophet it sort of creates this indelible impression in her mind. And then these miracles happen. So like the sheep that she would normally milk is like completely dry, and she tells the Prophet, you're not going to get anything from this animal, but he touches the udders of the sheep, and the udders of the sheep overflow with milk. The Prophet ﷺ fills his container, and Abu Bakr's, and Ma'bad's, and everyone drinks milk. And later, Abu Ma'bad, Ma'bad's husband, comes and says, what is this? What happened? And she says, a blessed man stopped by. And it was later on, it was said about Ma'bad that one of the things that was special about her, she comes from the Al-Khuza'iyya, so this particular group of people that actually become allies to the Prophet ﷺ after the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. And another thing too about Ma'bad is that Ali, who himself is known for his fasaha, for his eloquence, for rendering beautiful descriptions of the Prophet, when people come to Ali and say, I want to know what the Prophet was like and how did he look and who described him the best way, he always says the most beautiful description that I ever heard was by this woman in the desert. Her name was Ma'bad. So that is our story for today. Thank you so much for joining Muslimah Media Channel. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, this is Zainab and I really hope you enjoyed the Muslimah Media Channel. Make sure that you follow us and subscribe, but most importantly, make sure you get the word out there about why this channel is so awesome and much needed. It is going to fill a critical gap in the online content produced by Muslim women scholars. It's very important that the woman's voice emerges in today's Islamic discourse. So make sure you follow this channel, make sure you tell all your friends and family about it, and make sure you support Muslim women's scholarship for women, by women, Muslimah Media Channel. Thank you.